Good evening, everyone. Could I please call for a motion and a second to reconvene the public meeting? Motion. All in favor? Aye. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for our servicemen and women?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And the district clerk, please call the roll.
Marisol Mallon, President.
Here.
April Natali, Vice President.
Present.
Jackie DiLorenzo, Trustee.
President.
Sarah Parisi, Trustee. Here. Melissa Torrosa, Trustee. Michael Ibrahim, Student Board Member. Dr. Joseph Senmer, Superintendent.
Present.
Robert Hauser, Assistant Super for Business Operations. Reza Kolahifer, Assistant Super for Admin and Personnel.
Aye.
Christina Poppy, Assistant Super for Curriculum and Instruction. John Allen, Assistant to the Superintendent.
Present.
Lori O'Hara, Executive Director of Professional Development, Client Services, and Special Ed. Anthony Pisano, District Attorney.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the meetings of the May 5, May 8, May 11, and May 19, 2026 meetings?
Motion. Second.
Any questions on this?
Yes. Can you just update it for the 8th? The May 8th meeting, I was not present, and I'm just present. Okay.
So, can I have a motion to table the May 8th meeting?
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. And can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the May 5, May 11, and May 19, 2026 meetings?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. See a lot of important people in my audience. A lot of recognitions to come about. I'm going to pass the floor to Ms. Poppy, who will take care of some of these recognitions. Poppy? Yes, I believe so. Yep.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. I have a number of recognitions to lead off the night tonight. First, we would like to recognize FOSSI First in Men Virtual Contest winners. So this is coming to us from Mrs. Manzer's second grade class, which participated in New York State Department's First in Men Virtual Contest. 3 of her students are now regional champions and have been invited to compete in finals in Albany on June 13th. Their accomplishment has also earned a $1,000 prize for Moxley Elementary. Mrs. Manzo, the 3 students, and the parents of the students will travel to Albany for the state finals on June 13th. I'd like to recognize Ethan McPurse. Come on up and get. James Thomas.
Ethan. Ethan, come up here. James, come stand next to you.
And Teo Ozelson. So we have a certificate for you as well. We are joined tonight by Mrs. Kimball, our principal, and let's take a nice picture. Next, we are proud to recognize our students who had some regional competition winnings in the Skills USA contest. So the Skills USA contest assesses students on the Skills USA framework, which includes personal skills, workplace skills, and technical skills grounded in academics or classroom curriculum. And I should mention that Skills USA is a function of our partners in BOCES. The Skills USA competition is grounded in academics, and the program is designed to develop career readiness skills such as teamwork, communication, professionalism, and leadership. Skills USA seeks to promote industry-ready workers in fulfilling in-demand careers. And we'd like to recognize Chevy Romney, who took second place in welding, Natalia Cook, who took third place in opening and closing ceremony, and John Nsinga, who took third place in welding. Anyone here to do this? We'll be sure to get their certificates to them. Congratulations, everyone. We had a civics essay contest winner, and I'd like to invite Mr. Hussein to the podium to the front to congratulate our winner. Goes to Kimberly Greenwood, who's an 11th grade student at CHS, who received second place in the entire state from the Office of Statewide Civic Engagement of the New York State Unified Court System's annual civics essay. Congratulations. I'd also like to recognize Kimberly. This is kind of an impromptu recognition. But the district is about to jump into a district-wide celebration of America 250. So this is a district-wide effort to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Kimberly was our poster, or rather our logo contest winner for the entire effort for the entire district. Her work can be viewed on the district website. Under the community section, we have a tab that reads America 250, and that tab features both Kimberly's logo digitized, and you should be seeing it around the district in the coming weeks, as well as a list of different activities and celebratory efforts that are going to be taking place in all of our schools between June 1st and June 12th. So we're super proud to recognize Kimberly for that effort this evening as well. more high school students to recognize, this time for the Toshiba USA Science Research Competition. We have ninth graders Daniel Ellers and Abir Mani. I'm going to invite you to receive your certificates now. Daniel and Abir are going to be joined by Mrs. Burns, our Director of Science, Technology Education, and Handling Consumer Sciences, along with their science research teacher, Mr. Pedersen. While we're taking pictures, I'm going to tell you a bit about their projects. So the project introduces a microscopic thymus grid, which is a concept designed to replicate the function of the thymus, an organ responsible for training immune cells. By simulating how immune cells are exposed to fragments of bacteria, viruses, and cancer, the grid could enable the development of stronger and more diverse immune responses. This technology has the potential to improve how the body fights a wide range of diseases. Congratulations for that groundbreaking work. And actually, Daniel and Abir are going to be joined by fellow ninth grade science research students Timothy Putarello and Anthony Wilcox, who earned honorable mention recognition for their project, Matterplan. I'd like to invite Anthony and Timothy to the front for it. All of these fine young scientists have been guided by Teacher Tom Pedersen, and we are so happy to celebrate their accomplishments. Specifically, Toshiba USA conducted a separate recognition ceremony at the high school. It was wonderful, where they came and presented our winners with laptops and some promise of the future as we enter into the next sort of round of this competition. So we're super excited for the continuation of our science research program and this promising effort on the part of both of these students. Congratulations. Next, I'd like to recognize Slocum Art Contest winner. And this goes to Shindy, who won first place in the Northbound Erase the Stigma Art Contest. Mr. Malafante is here to take a picture with us. Thank you very much. Very, very excited. And not on our agenda this evening, but I do have a late addition to our list of recognitions that I'd just like to spend a moment speaking about. I'd like to invite Rebecca Mazurowski to the front, along with Mrs. Booth, our National Junior Honor Society advisor from Lakeland Middle School. Rebecca is being recognized this evening for receiving the Outstanding Achievement Award. This is a very particular award in that it is offered at the national level. She is also receiving a scholarship. And although a number of National Junior Honor Society students applied for this particular recognition, Rebecca's application rose to the top, and we are very pleased to recognize her for her efforts. Rebecca also serves as the treasurer of the Ronkonkoma Middle School chapter of the National Junior Honor Society. And Mrs. Pope is here to recognize her achievements as well. Thank you very much, Rebecca. Good job. And that's it for our student recognitions this evening. Thank you very much, everyone, and congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Poppy. And congratulations to everybody. Can we have another round of applause for all our recognitions? Okay. However, we are going to get into our very exciting board meeting now. Thank you. So next on the agenda, we have a presentation from Aramark Food Service. I will pass the floor to you.
Thank you very much. And that is an awfully tough act to follow, I have to say. We are very, very proud to stand alongside you as we recognize all of you accomplishments tonight. And of course, we thank you for allowing us to get up in front of you again this year and talk about some of the things that we're really proud to have accomplished over the course. Good. All right. We put together a brief presentation for you. We'll try to keep it short and sweet, and then if there are any questions at the end, we'll certainly have the opportunity to address them with the group. Tonight, actually, I should start by introducing, we have Lauren Traeger. She's the food service director for Aramark in the district here at Napa, and Carrie O'Donnell is the general manager for Aramark as well, and I am Grace Mashinsky, the senior district manager for Aramark, overseeing the Walnut. So I wanted to start by just talking a little bit about the history of our time in the district. So we start in 2023 when Aramark was lucky to be awarded the contract for the food service bid here in Napa. And then shortly thereafter, in the school year 2024, we had the proud accomplishment of being able to partner with the school district to add the breakfast program to 9 of the 10 buildings that had not previously been participating in breakfast. And then later in the 2024 year, we were also able to help the district in partnership to be eligible for the community eligibility provision, which allowed for every child in the district to be eligible for a free breakfast and lunch. And then in 2025, the school district added the summer feeding program, which again expanded on the offerings and the ability for us to be able to provide access to food to students through the summer when they were participating in district events. And upcoming, we have in 2026-2027 school year, the New York State will be doing their first administrative review in our time year. So we are preparing and fully expect to be ready for that on. And I'm going to pass it off to Lauren to talk about our guest shop.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having us tonight. We are so pleased to be here in front of you. Just to touch on Guest Chef Day, it was an awesome experience for myself, for the students. They really got to get involved with Chef Al. He really showed them what it means to put your passion into food, where showing them how tomatoes, basil, and olive oil can make a really good, bruschetta that you can put on chicken. You can have it with rice. If you want to, it's a cooler option for them, and they got to really experience how easy it is to make healthy options, healthy choices for, himself. If you look around, he was sitting down with students, all the, kindergartners loved him. He had them very involved. The older students really, really enjoyed his time there. He really showed them the vitamins, the minerals, how all of that plays into your body functioning properly. And yeah, we're really, really excited to continue it. We have a couple more dates on the calendar in the spring, and then going forward next year, we are going to definitely have them in the fall, and then another round in the spring.
We made sure to continue the tradition of the guest chef experience because that was something that was really important to this community, right? But part of that was to ensure that we're getting that opportunity to access the students and hear what they want in life. And as a result of that, we have been able to see year over year improvement to the program participation. So you can see the first table here, there's a lot of things on the screen, but really what you can see is trajectory of growth, right? So each year since the inception of our contract, we've been able to show that annually we are improving the participation in the breakfast and the lunch programs. Our commitment to ensure that you understand that moving forward, we have every expectation to continue on that growth. But this is our opportunity to hear from you. Let us know what it is that we can do to continue to partner with the school community and propel your program forward. In terms of federal regulations, I will pass it on to our registered dietitian who knows a lot more about this stuff than I do.
Thank you very much for allowing us to be here tonight. As Lacey had said, I am Claire Dowell, I'm a registered dietitian. And a little bit about the federal regulations. It is our work responsibility to make sure we stay up to date and ahead of any changes to regulations that the federal government does put out. So just understand that we are really keeping it close. We make sure to follow this. And as the new dietary guidelines are released in the upcoming months, weeks, we will stay close to this and update accordingly once we have further information coming from the federal. Our menus, it is our responsibility to create the menus for the district, working alongside the fantastic food service ladies that join us here tonight. As we create our menus, right, there are regulations that we must meet in terms of calories and fats and sodium. We also have to make sure that we are not exceeding certain number of grams of sugars. And we also, looking ahead to the upcoming 26-27 school year, all of our menus will be free of any food additives and dyes, which is not a New York State regulation.
Sorry. Can I just ask you to come closer to the microphone so the people at home?
Sure.
Thank you.
So our menus for the 26-27 school year will be free of any food additives and dyes, which is again not a regulation of New York State, but our mark making sure that we are aware of what is important to the communities that we do operate in. And so our menus will be free of those for the upcoming year. It is important for us to partner with a lot of recognized brands. So you will see up on the board some of our vendors that we do work alongside in brand recognition that we have in our menus. And speaking of menus, we'll pass it back over to Lauren for some detailed offerings that we've had on our breakfast and lunch menu.
So when our work first came to the district, there were only two hot options offered at breakfast, and we've really expanded that, if you can tell by the list on the board. It's really one of the things we focus on is having options for students, because not every student wants the same thing. We have a lot of the homemade options, especially at the high school level. Jen, our high school cook manager, comes in on Tuesday mornings at the right time of 5:30 and is making fresh egg sandwiches. She's making Belgian waffles on Wednesdays. She's making fresh cinnamon granola completely from scratch out of our kitchens, which has really, the students, we've gotten great feedback from them. I've heard it from the teachers that have tried it. You know, some of the administration has come down and sampled some of the things that we offer, and really, they truly enjoy. Going off of that, just some daily options we allow at the middle school and the high school level. We have at least 2 hot entrees of the day as well. We have our pizza and stuff like that. We have 3 made to order bars. We have our salads, our taco and quesadilla, and we also have our yogurt parfait bar. Additionally, we have fresh fruit and vegetables available daily. I have them listed at the bottom of the screen, but as seasons change, stuff like that, we do get more options for the students. And then at the elementary school level, it is a little bit more limited, but again, they have at least 12 options offered daily. And the same goes for all the fresh fruit vegetables. They're getting the same quality food that they're getting at high school level, at the elementary school level. That's great.
So, let me make sure everybody can hear me. I definitely want to round it up by saying thank you. Again, I know I've said it a few times, but especially a shout out to our young ladies in the back here. If we could take just a second for a round of applause to those who are not here, that are the district food service staff. They're your community members, so many of them have raised children in your district, and this is just as important to them as it is to us. So we thank you for the sacrifice that you make every day. Thank you. And all those numbers and all those charts could not have happened without you. So we appreciate you and the opportunity to continue this partnership. Again, we welcome the opportunity for you to ask any questions, talk to us about the things that take priority in your district for the upcoming week.
So I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
I'm consistently hearing from the kids that the food is. I'll just give you one example. We've all heard of dirty water dogs. I had never, until recently, heard of dirty water hamburgers. Okay. Maybe you can explain that to me. Also, I noticed the chef of the day. Are they implementing things like oregano and oil on a daily food, or is that just for those special days? Because food.
So again, this is first time that I'm hearing the feedback. I think in terms of the hamburgers, this was something that we did address with the school district, and that the way that Aramark prepares the meals are all following. I'm sorry, I can't see it. That appears to be a hamburger and beef broth. Good. I can see it. Yeah, so we had addressed the way that we prepare the hamburger patties here. are to gently warm them up to proper temperature in a low sodium broth so as not to dry them out. That is the standard preparation of that particular product that's required or recommended by the manufacturer. It's a key product that is approved for agency food nutrition food.
Kids are consistently saying food. A lot of the food is inedible.
Could you be
I-
more specific?
Of the hamburgers.
So,
There's no flavor. They're consistently throwing at food, from what I understand. I mean, at the best, that's an appetizer. I hear what you're saying. Something needs to be done so that the kids want to eat. Okay, so that they're not getting something and dumping it. I can appreciate everything you're saying. I really can. I'm not saying it's an easy job. What I'm saying is kids are going through the way. Okay. I hear that the chicken is great. This is not just one kid, this is several kids that are saying this. And again, the chef day is wonderful. Again, can we implement some of the stuff that's being utilized there to help flavor food that the kids are getting?
yeah,
Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
there's-
absolutely. So again, I'm sorry.
No, all I'm saying is the food on the chef day, it's more, it's not what we do on a normal day-to-day basis. So my concern is, again, and I get that there are restrictions, okay, but I also know that there are things we can do to make the food more palatable for the kids.
Partnered with the school district over the last 3 years to collaborate on lots of meetings to discuss the menus and to receive feedback and to continue to do a little bit better every day. And we will absolutely stay before something.
Just for the community out there, and for anybody else, that you have a lot of restrictions. And can you just explain what happens should you not follow your restrictions?
Sure. So a lot of the reason that a school district might employ a food service management company is to help mitigate risk, right? We manage the regulations so that you don't have to. And a lot of that comes down to making sure that we're not surpassing a lot of the guidelines that Carrie spoke about before. And what could happen if you were not to follow those guidelines is that the federal and the state governments could come back in an auditory moment and say that the school district would have to reimburse the entire amount of the reimbursements that they received to fund the program back to the state and federal agencies. So it is highly important that we follow regulations. It's also highly important that we follow our contractual regulations within the school district and the wellness policies that we follow. So what I like to say is that Aramark as a company, right, our capacity and our capabilities are virtually endless. We do operate within the confines of the local wellness policy, the local contract with the school district, our state, federal, and county regulations when it comes to regulations and safety regulations. We're open to the sky's the limit.
So, while I understand there are guidelines, when you do the chef stick, are those guidelines followed?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so while we have the palatable food on chef day, we don't have it on a day-to-day with the rest of the kids. Just let me finish. I absolutely understand restrictions and all of that. But if we're following it during the chef day, right?
Mhm.
Then why isn't that being held over with the kids on a day-to-day basis?
So it is. So the chef day is intended to feature some of the items that are seen on the students when they have, we're trying to advertise and allow them to taste test the items that we are showcasing or plan to showcase in a way that's less intimidating to them because they don't have to worry about giving up their lunch to try that entree. We're going to show them that opportunity the week before so that they can sample and taste test it with no cost and no added obligation to the students. They just get to taste it. And then when they feature it in their menu, they can take it as part of the menu.
Again, I can understand the restrictions, I can understand the difficulty that you guys are working under. The food has to be better for the kids. Okay, it's just not palatable. It's not, and I think at this juncture, we should see how much is being thrown in the garbage versus eating.
Well, I would welcome you and the rest of the board. We've had board members come to join us for events, walk through the cafeteria lines, taste the food alongside the students. I would absolutely welcome you to do that.
And again, just utilize the chef set, okay, which really lovely, looks good, looks great. That's not what's being served to the kids, even visually.
And you don't have to give us notice, right? You can come as long as the school district is there and, you know, is welcoming and their doors are open. Our doors are open to anybody who would like to come and try the food anytime you want.
I just want the food to taste better for the kids. I want it to look palatable and to taste better. That's
Understood.
all.
Understood.
Yeah, I just Michael, do you get lunch? Because, you know, from a student's perspective, I'm just curious. I don't know if you have lunch or not. I know a lot of seniors don't.
I have had very few lunches. I only took one lunch period in like throughout high school, or 1.5 throughout high school. And the lunch staff are some of the nicest people that I've ever interacted with in school. They're truly lovely. I've never had a bad experience with a lunch lady before, ever. They're very, very kind. I know they work very hard. I know it's a hard job, but I'm big. I like to eat a lot. I don't. And yes, a lot of it does get thrown out from what I've seen. That's what I've experienced.
Anybody else? Thank you. Thank you for all your workers and all they do for the student. Mr. Abraham, do you have any updates for us?
Yeah, so I have a couple of things, not too much, but yeah, I haven't been here a couple meetings. So I have a couple things to go over. Firstly, we had our wellness day recently. It was a little bit different than last year. This year it was more of like an assembly style, which was definitely a little bit different than the usual, where it's typically, are you guys are familiar with the wellness day, right? Yeah, so usually it's like you walk around the gym, there's plenty of things to do, and this time it was kind of more of like an assembly, and the information in the assembly was great, but I can say that from what I was hearing with a lot of the students, and just my own opinion personally, despite the information being really great, kids, when they heard wellness day, they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna get to like hang out in the gym like we did last year. And the brains were kind of like, oh, I'm not interested anymore. We're sitting listening to it assembly. So that was a little bit different. I think it wasn't as well received because of like the different format. But I still thought it was nice. And then aside from that, AP season is over now, finally. It was pretty intense, I know, for myself and for a lot of my fellow students. But it's over now, and now it's the fun stuff to eat here. I just attended banquet. It was lovely. Very good time, great venue, great food. Seemed like everybody had a lot of fun. And yeah, that's about all I got.
I'd like to point out that Michael did win 3 awards. You'd like to tell us what award you won? Yeah.
This is for relatives. I got nicest smile, kindest, and most likely birthday. Oh, one more thing. Speaking of president, I'm the president of Honor Society. I don't know how you know that, but we are planning right now. I just gave a call to the maintenance at Jones Beach, and we're planning a beach day. So I'll keep putting out information about that. If anybody's
I just wanted to know if anyone knows why we changed the format. Wellness Day, because I feel like we have spoken about how assembly style things maybe can just maybe try something else, and we were like, got it, let's turn something that's not an assembly into an assembly. I want, like, because I went to last year's, I didn't get to go to this year's. It was awesome. Like, it was, I mean, sure, there was a lot of kids there. I wouldn't have really called it like a hanging out though. Everybody was like really circling around the doing pull-ups. I don't think you could do that in an assembly. Maybe, I don't know.
So my daughter is the president of the Helping Hands Club who runs the Wellness Day. And what happened this year is that due to the fact that first of it was election day, 2 gyms were being used. It just was poor planning of the date fit. Is really what it was, and it should have been moved. I definitely agree, and all the students agree that Wellness Day in the past is a great event. So many different things happening, and this year definitely was a huge difference in how they ran. So hopefully next year they will go back to where.
Thank you. I will now open the floor to the first open public comment portion of the agenda. Yes. I will call individuals forward one at a time. Please wait for my acknowledgement before stepping up to the podium. You should have received the number card from security on your way in. If you have not, please use security guard in the back of the room. Any person wishing to address the board shall address the board president. Comments shall be kept as brief as possible and relate to school matters only. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes for one or more topics. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. Use of foul language and threatening comments shall not be tolerated, and the board will consider recess until order is restored. In accordance with policy 1230, public comment will not exceed 30 minutes. If there are additional persons wishing to speak, the board may consider a motion to extend the time. Number 1. Oh, there's a 1. Oh, you changed? No, I did. I had 1. All right. Number 2, 3. Okay. Can I call for a motion a second to approve the instructional personnel items as presented?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions?
There's 3 of them on here.
We're doing instructional right now.
Oh, there's J1, right? Should have.
We're doing the one that starts with Talia. Right? Were you a yes? Okay. Sarah, you were a no, right? Wait.
So sorry for the extra time, yeah.
I'm abstaining. April, you're a yes, right? Yes. Can I call for a motion and a second to approve the non-instructional personnel items as presented?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes?
I'm gonna abstain.
Any abstentions?
Abstaining.
Can I have a motion and a second to approve the restructuring personnel items?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes?
Abstaining. I'm also abstaining from this one.
What was the word you were getting? All right, and I'm a yes. I did do the ayes. I just want to make sure Sabrina got them. Can I call for a motion in a second? Hold on. To approve the budget transfers, item number 2 from the consent agenda.
Motion.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions?
No.
That's
She's
okay.
abstaining, I'm no.
I just wanna make sure there's things that transfer that are needed in that. I don't-
April, when we make our vote. Question.
Okay, you guys are the ones who pushed for some of this, and I don't know if you realize it's in.
So Sarah,
I know exactly what's in there. April, I don't need a correction from anyone here. I'm voting no for a reason, okay?
Ms. Breezy, you were no, Ms. Di Lorenzo abstained, right? Ms. Turbo, so you were here? And you were yes. Got it.
I know.
Can I have a motion and a second to approve items number 3, 4, and 5 scholarship donations from the consent agenda? Any questions on 3, 4, and 5, the scholarship donations?
I do. Do we get a Suffolk Transportation Scholarship donation every year of 2,000?
We get a scholarship donation each year, but I believe the amount varies.
More or less, do we know?
I would have to go back and look at the history of all the donations over the years.
I'm gonna ask for one to be pulled for Suffolk Transport, so the answer, I just want to abstain from that one, but the other two I'm yes.
Okay. Ms. Di Lorenzo?
Yes.
Mr. Rosa? Ms. Anatelli? Yeah. And I'm a yes for the 3. There a motion and second to approve item number 6 on the consent agenda, sycamore tree and plaque donation. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any extensions? Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 7 on the consent agenda, Eastern Suffolk BOCES initial shared services?
Motion.
Any questions?
I do question on this, just because the total is over 17 million. So, I mean, anything that we can do in-house here, like going through this whole list of everything, and I know this is, shared services that we have opposed to, and I'm sure a lot of these we have to do, but I just have to question it, just because it is $17 million, the explanation for this, anything we can do that we don't have to spend that kind of money. Yeah. So, yeah, clearly my point, it's similar, but, pretty sure this is how I think we asked this question on a couple of executive sessions. There's a monopoly, seems to be. Is there any way that we can, crazily as it sounds, itemize it to see where we can? Either do in-house or maybe another company. I feel like we're consistently beholden, hold up our barrel. So I approve.
Ms. Di Lorenzo?
Oh, so I was hoping for
Oh,
any kind of.
yeah, I was actually hoping somebody would jump in also. Nobody seems to have wanted to jump in.
No, that's fine, that's fine. So, yeah, we'll absolutely continue to look at shared services to see if there's anything that we can bring in-house. I know in terms of BOCES services in general, an area that we all looking at very closely and have been for a year now is the CTE to try to see what we can bring in-house in terms of any career type programs. And that effort will continue.
I'm gonna have to abstain for now, just because I don't know, it feels a little hasty once again to just prove something at 17 million would be just that $17 million. I'm gonna.
Mr. Rosa? Ms. Anatelli?
Yeah, so I just would like to have Dr. Mark clarify that this 17 million is part of the fees that we have to pay for that we are contractually obligated. Is that correct?
Are you referring to, say, two items, BOCES rent and the BOCES administrative charge, those two basic,
Yeah.
fees? Yes, those are in there. But that's because we're a participating agency. We're up.
I think Ms. Di Lorenzo's question was, are there, and I don't want to speak for you, just correct me if I'm wrong, but are there items on there that could be looked at, removed, you know, find another service for them?
So I can just add a few things. There's over 800 individual line items, 800 individual services, programs, products, software that we get through BOCES. Just keep in mind that many of them are aidable, so that if we use the service and everything that's on this list is our intention to use it. Doesn't mean we have to use it, and if we don't use it, we don't get billed. So that's the I'll say the menu of services, buildings or the departments have expressed. Sorry. I will give us an example. Just say one of the 800 items on there. So we use BOCES. We use their transportation services to help do the physical performance test for each of our bus drivers. We could try to look outside to a different agency that might perform that service. We're not going to get BOCES aid if we go outside. But we can certainly look to see other options. But I will say, BOCES to us is a very good source of information in terms of transportation and different regulations of the state and the federal. So some of them, you know, it might be just checking the box to get the physical performance tests, but you know, the information and the knowledge that's over there as well locally from Bring also is beneficial to us. But I'm just highlighting one example that say the right.
And you bring up that example. You said that some might be equal. Why would it be equal? Not from BOCES, but
Yeah, so some of those services, and I'll use one example. Okay, so the program that we use, this is another line item that would be one of the 800. Would be the software that we use to do all the human resource management, all the payroll throughout the district, all the purchasing that's in there. So that particular item is not eligible. It's not, I'll say, directly related to students, to instructional. So in that particular case, we're not going to realize the amount of aid that we would on, say, instructional program. Like Dr. Seymour mentioned, the CTE programs that we send students to BOCES for, which we receive before BOCES aid.
So what you're saying is on some of the line items, because we're going through BOCES, the BOCES will aid it, like give us a break. Is that what you're saying?
I don't want to say give a break, but back from the state, we actually get the aid, BOCES aid, see here based on final services and final amounts that we've paid for.
So, but it could be another company that's properly certified. We'd still get that state aid, potentially get that state aid.
Sure. Okay, wait, let me be careful. If we don't go through BOCES, we do not get the BOCES aid. We don't get state aid.
basically, you know, it sounds like
They have
they're
a
holding
monopoly.
us to, yeah, the monopoly, they're holding us to use BOCES. Each other's plan.
Is that what we're saying? That there's that BOCES essentially as a monopoly and they're tying our hands and that's what
I would not use that word.
But that goes back to programs like the CTE program that while we do get aid on it, those costs are rising pretty significantly. And we have a lot of students, which is great that are again for recognizing students. Tonight with the Skills USA, we have great graduation for both students in high school and student aid. we are looking to see if there are programs that we can bring in-house to our high school, that even though it may not be aidable, that could still be a plus savings to the district, and this is an example.
Possible, I feel like we've been hearing that we are looking into, can we get a breakdown of what we've looked into? Like, I wanna know, like, what we've actually researched, right? Like, oh, we looked into cosmetology and unfortunately it's gonna cost X, Y, and Z, but then this will, like, I'm not saying I don't believe that it's happened, it's just like, we've never been presented with the cost factor of what's been looked into for bringing any of these in-house, and I doubt that we are today in the financial position to bring anything in-house, but I would like to know the goal, right? Like,
Yeah, so we're not even at the point of the financial piece because we're trying to figure out working in collaboration with the high school administration where, in terms of space, we could do, whether it be in cosmetology, whether it be an applied medical, what was that called? Clinical medical. We certainly would looking at anything along the HVAC and electrical. So really, it really starts with where you could put it and are you going to be able to provide it as the program grows to the students. One of the things that we do right now in the district is we don't cap any of our OC programs with CTE. And so it's great that more students are being engaged and enrolled, and it's fabulous, but that is driving up the cost. So we've been working with the high school to try to look at space, try to recognize what might be a program, and then in terms of the funding piece, there is staffing factor, which would be general fund, but then any kind of room renovations, there's the potential to tap into one of our transfer to capital funds to utilize that money for any future room renovations. So, you know, this has been an ongoing effort in collaboration with the high school administration, and it continues to be an area of priority.
so my only thing with this is when you have a monopoly and we're kind of saying we get state aid, there potentially could be another program or another company or whatever you want to call it that actually bringing it in, even with their state aid, might be less. That's the issue overall with it. There's no saying that there's not another program that we could bring in that actually winds up being less, even with state aid. So clearly things have to be checked out. And as far as room and things of that nature and consistently hearing enrollments down, this and that. We can't find rooms to do that? Yeah, just throwing that out.
Yes, I think for me, like, I would just like to see ideas, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would like to just see that I foresaw, I was at a lot of those breakfasts where the district's talking about the cost factor of bringing in these CTE programs, and we're millions and millions and millions to have them in-house. They are thriving and it's wonderful, but I am well aware of the space and cost factor. This is how things fall to the wayside on accident, I think. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if we're actively working on it, I don't care if the binder that we continue to work through over time and we get there. I don't want it to be something that is like a dream one day that we never take any actionable step towards. Like, I want it to stay forefront because those other districts, those presentations that we saw were amazing about their in-house CTE programs. It was like, and just what was happening for not happening out of BOCES, but like how cool would it be to have that here, especially at that dollar amount. You know what I mean? So I want it to stay something we're actively working towards, not something that we're continually talking about.
It remains a priority, and these spaces, they're not the traditional classroom size space. They tend to be a classroom and a half, 2 classroom. So it's you know, that adds to the challenge of finding the space, but it absolutely remains a priority.
Did we not just free up space for this purpose? Because I've been discussing this for years, and I could have sworn that we now have free space, a large space that we can use for this. And that was my understanding that we are working towards that. So if that's incorrect, I'm surprised we're not talking about that space that we now have. So someone please correct.
No. So one of the things besides wanting to repurpose and utilize our staff, both at the high school and across the district, to service even more students with special education, as we are looking at the academy space and seeing what we could do to utilize that space for CTE.
Right, and I don't understand why we didn't just discuss that, but this is what I'm talking about. We have talked about this in open, that space is free, so we can bring a CTE program in. But then when it's discussed, it's like, oh, we have 1 or 2 classes, I'm a little upset that we freed up that space, we wanna bring a program in, and why aren't we talking about it? Like, it shouldn't be a secret, everybody should know that this is space that we now have and we should be utilizing.
Not a secret, obviously the budget just passed. And those rooms are single classroom rooms, so it still requires work. We've been exploring with the high school administration different programs and continue to do that with that space in mind.
So my thing is, I'm just gonna reiterate, 17 million, essentially a monopoly, and then we become complacent. We just, because it's easy and because it's the only one out there, that's what we can't do. Okay. Yeah, for the time I've been on the board, which is half a second. Yeah, I agree with April on this as far as the space and everything else, but there's a lot of stuff that we did years ago that we no longer do. Okay. Just down to shop class where we had a half the car in the room, and this was huge. There were so many students that took advantage of it and didn't have to be shipped out to BOCES. So that's just a part of the issue.
And we have less population now. So if we had all these programs back when we were kids, and we had so many more students in school, I definitely think space is there. It should utilize now new space that we have, and coming up, like Melissa said, where's the binder? Create the plan. If we never create a plan, I'm under the impression we already have a plan. So the fact that we need a plan to execute, and there needs to be check marks and a semi-project manager on it. So where we're moving forward, where are we going?
I did turn my mic on just to add a little bit of touch here. So we have been on a journey for the last 2 years in investigating how other school districts run in-house CTE programs, what components are necessary to launch programs inside of public high schools. And we have been considering the cost to the district against the cost that the district currently expends in sending students to BOCES. So even though you're correct on all counts here, our student population is decreasing. In fact, we have more students now than ever who have applied to BOCES programs. It's a beautiful gift within this district to be able to say to all of those students, yes, you can attend without restriction. But currently we have 241 students who have submitted applications to BOCES CTE programs, that's called Campus. And we have been monitoring closely the programs that are of deepest interest to our student population. We've targeted a few of them for deeper consideration. There is a spatial conversation that I think has moved in a positive direction now that we have some flexibility with our high school spaces. And the next steps are an involved application process, right? Targeting the program or programs that we would like to bring in, and an involved application process. So Melissa, I would be happy to offer, kind of a synopsis of where we've been as a group in terms of looking and investigating. And we're really, with this budget approval, as Dr. Semler said, we're really kind of at a crossroads in terms of what our next steps are.
Yeah, and that's why I said, I believe that it's been talked about. I think that this is how we help also for the community, right? To not feel like we're just yapping, right? Like we're just saying stuff that sounds good. That these are the simple things that, if the work's being done, I want you guys to be able to show that the work's being done too. You're not doing it for nothing. And to that effect too, I like the idea of looking at the most requested programs, but there might be a program that is more feasible or quicker or space-wise or cost-wise to put in, and watch how we would see the interest go up if it's in the school, in-house. So like, I don't want that to be the only determining factor, I guess, at the end of it. Not that I'm saying it is, but you would probably, I know that I might have been first, because I was the type who's like, I don't want to get on the bus to go anywhere. Like, I didn't even want to get on the first bus to come, so I definitely didn't want to get on another one. But if it was there, I might have been more like interested just because it was in front of me, and I'm like, what's that about, right? Like, like that's what I'm saying. I just want to see everything we've considered. I want to see these numbers. I want to see what we're talking about. I really hope we can.
Ms. Crazy, how do you vote? How do you vote?
We voted.
I didn't vote. I didn't vote on this. No, because Jackie had a question about it, and we went right into questions. Yes, we did.
I think you voted.
I'm sorry,
I didn't, no, that's.
No, that's okay. Nobody voted on this because. Yeah, let's do it again because I know for a fact I didn't vote on this. Ms. Parisi.
I think I abstained, didn't I?
And Ms. Di Lorenzo? Think I abstained?
I was a yes.
And you were a yes. Right. And I will be a yes, but I want to reiterate what I have been saying and asking us to look at the BOCES lines and to look at why we're spending, what we're spending, and when we're spending it. Because it's a lot of money that we could look at. Yes. Coming up. Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 8, projected extended school year budget?
Motion. Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Okay. Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 9 on the consent agenda, projected preschool budget?
Motion. Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Any abstentions? Any noes? Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 10 on the consent agenda, LIAC board resolution for charter schools?
Motion. Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
No, I do have a quick question.
Oh, okay.
We've done so many of these follow-throughs. I thought that and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought we already did this.
The charter
one.
school?
Yeah.
No, we voted to actually create this letter and have it on an agenda for approval, so this is the approval. All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions?
I'm abstaining.
Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 11, instructional service agreement for Little Flower?
Motion.
Any questions?
Yes.
So, just do my. Wait,
What number is that again?
number 11, the Little Flower.
Yeah.
So, what I understand of Little Flower, it was an orphanage out east. Is this?
For Little Flowers, about 5 education, some of our secondary students, special education secondary. They do also house students there as well, so they have foster students that are there.
So, all right, so my question is it still an orphanage, or is it like, let's say Madonna Heights, where it's a reformatory versus, what is it?
It's a special education program or school. So we have 1 student there currently now. But it also does, there are some times where court will mandate a student has to live there, and that they live there and they can go to school there as well.
So it's actually the agency that oversees it. School district just provides the education.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Aye. Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 12, Health and Welfare Service Agreement for Central Islip School District? Any questions? No, we did 11, we did Little Flower. Okay. Is yours out of order?
Yeah, mine says 12. Little.
Yeah, I'm going by the agenda. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Any questions on number 12? All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Have a motion and second to approve item number 13 on the consent agenda, consultant service agreement for Ready Consulting.
Motion.
Any questions on that? All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Have a motion and second to approve item number 14 and 15, special education services.
Motion. Second.
Any questions on 14 or 15? All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 16 on the consent agenda, special education committee meeting? Any questions on that? All in favor? Aye. Oh, it's 5 ayes. The ayes have it. Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 17 on the consent agenda, Sean Besman scholarship donation?
Second.
Any questions on that? All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Can I have a motion and a second to approve items 18, 19, and 20 flow through contracts on the consent agenda? Can I have a second from somebody? Oh. Any questions on 18, 19, or 20? All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? That's coming up.
Okay.
Yep. 22, yeah. So we're up to 21. Can I have a motion second to approve? No, she has a question on number 22. Yes. Can I have a motion and second to approve item number 21 on the consent agenda, facilities use organization? Any questions on that? All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Can I have a motion and second to approve item number 22 on the consent agenda, removal and replacement of asbestos floor tile at the high school?
Motion.
Any questions on that?
Could you?
So when we do capital projects, we have three important things that we are bound by, our guiding principles. One, we follow the community narrative as to what the scope of the work is. Two, we do everything we can to stay within budget and make recommendations accordingly. And three, we do things to maximize our building needs. The 22 project, we've completed everything that was initially presented to the community, but there are a couple of items in there that allow us flexibility. In particular, the upper turf at the high school, we have the ability, because we have additional funds available, to replace the upper turf at the high school.
Which I think past the field box.
So secondary field, yes. So in order to get aid on that project, in order to maximize the aid on that, the state requires us to do an inside project as well. Can't really explain why, but we have to do an inside project. It doesn't have to be large, it has to be, $10,000 or more. We've done all other inside work associated with the 22 bond. So in order to find a bucket of money that allows the project to proceed with aid, we have a 2018-19 transfer to capital that has a few $1,000s in it. We just need to send to the state this secret agreement, which is a environmental review, saying that there's no environmental impact and that it includes the floors. simple, it's functionary. It will then allow us to change the documentation that the funding for the project is going to come out of the 2022 project, and a small piece is gonna come out of the 2018-19 transfer to capital. But approving this $10,000 project that has scope of work and a little bucket of money is gonna get us aid on $750,000.
That's a win-win.
In this case, it's an absolute win-win.
Could you explain to me where it is?
The rooms that we're talking about, so there are 3 spaces in the high school that had not been done when we did all the asbestos removal 6 years ago. We have a book room behind the elevator on the 2nd floor. It's not a space that anybody sees, but it's got tiles that are coming up. Eventually, they're gonna have to be removed. If we don't go through, behind the elevator is a book room on the 2nd floor of the high school. Our teachers moved some cabinetry in their classroom to open up some spaces. When they did that, they removed the large cabinet that was in place.
Like built-in?
Not built in, because they were able to pick it up and move it to a different part of the room and reconfigure the space. And when they did that, we found old 9x9 asbestos tiles underneath it. And then we actually found a room that has 12x12 tiles, which is, well, found a room is, and I say that, and I apologize, that's not the right language, but we do an AHIRA report every 6 months. We have to do a AHIRA update and everything else, and during that report, typically 12x12 floor tiles are not asbestos. We look for the telltale 9x9 tiles that you see in this room here. In one case in the high school, one particular room was done prior to 1985, which is when the AHIRA laws and asbestos control laws went into effect. That has not been replaced up to this point. Now that we know it's there, even though it's in good condition, this is the opportunity to take care of it, get the aid on it, satisfy the requirements for the. Each room, the book room's probably 400, 500 square feet. The art room, once we start tearing apart that, it's 800. Yep, 800 square feet in the art room, and probably similar to the one classroom upstairs as well. So we're talking about 2,000 square feet total. Between the actual abatement, the air monitoring, and this flooring, the tile replacement, it will be over $10,000.
I like the idea of the 750. My one question, and I'm sorry if I'm being very picky, but we're gonna get that 750, and report to be right. Just in the last paragraph, be it further resolved that the district clerk on behalf of. Just
Thank you.
that's, like it's a librarian.
100%. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
All in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 23 on the consent agenda, BOCES multi-year service agreement?
Motion.
Any questions on that?
Me. This the $500,000 booster project that we kind of collectively were like, hey, this feels like it should wait? Or is this a different technology project? Because it's looking expensive, and if it's not that, then I would like to know more about what it is, because there's a whole lot of attachments and not a whole lot of explanation.
I think this is what's going by the $30,000 line item, which I think was the storage.
Because I pulled up
This might be different, but
yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out, if this is that 5G cellular booster removable, that, like, any of those that were in, or is it all of them? There's about 4 or 5 attachments.
Yeah, so one of the attachments is for $143,000.
I may.
That's of course.
Okay. So this is a multi-year agreement for the district's internet connection. It's being presented to the board for its approval this evening. This multi-year represents a commitment that the district makes through a process called E-rate. What E-rate does for us as a district is it presents these needed sort of infrastructure upgrades at a lower cost ultimately to the district, but it requires a multi-year investment in order to sort of complete the project. This particular project is for an upgrade to our internet connectivity. It's not the booster project, separate. From a single gig to an 8 gig option. We found that our infrastructure, which is operating at 1 gig, is not, I'll say, expansive enough in order to support the demands of the district. We, through this process, are able to upgrade to an 8 gig connection, which has benefits in that it will allow us to have faster internet connectivity and a better capacity for our infrastructure. It's through our current provider, so it's not a new internet provider, which is Lightpath and Crown Castle. We've definitely approved contracts with both of those companies in the past. So our bandwidth would essentially increase at the high school and Cherokee Street Elementary, which is our default location in terms of providing a backup for the district. I'm not sure if the board is fully aware of that all of our infrastructure has backups at Cherokee Street Elementary. And so that's why both campuses are named in this agreement. And essentially it would provide us with some capacity here to, continue doing the work that we are doing in a more efficient way. It is a larger commitment, but again, it's a commitment over time. So the district has entered into this multi-year. That was done with board approval, and so this is a component of that multi-year.
So I have a couple of questions. I actually don't see the chart as on here to the high school.
Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah,
I
I see.
CO and I
Yeah,
thought I was
me
gonna
too.
say, no offense to you guys, but I'd rather a school get it.
Right, I don't see schools that you're saying. But my next question really is, what does this benefit? Is it benefiting the kids Google, not Google, on their Chromebooks? Is that a benefit to the children? Because I know some of the things we're doing might not benefit the children. So for me, I of course care about cell phones, but I don't care about cell phones because we have a rule now, you're not allowed to use them. So if I have to think about schools and students, I don't care about our Wi-Fi or our cell phones. So what I'm caring about though is the Chromebooks. And is this going to enhance Chromebooks?
Yes, it will. So one of the increased demands on the district has been computer-based testing. I will say that as an example, right? So even our elementary students and our middle school students are now taking their state assessments on their Chromebooks. They're taking their SATs on their Chromebooks. We don't know what the future of Regents exams will hold, but if there's ever an option there, right? We definitely see trends toward the digital sort of landscape in terms of just that one example, and it will enhance the student's experience. It does equate to a load on our bandwidth when we have students who are testing across the district in 9 out of 10 of our schools, aside from the high school. I'm just talking about 3 through 8 testing, for example.
Why is CO on here though? So that's $49,000. So I might be a yes to some of it, but I'm not a yes to CO because there's no students in CO. So why would I want to spend $50,000 on central office?
Right, so I do believe that what we're looking at and going on tonight has to do with that upgrade, the systemic upgrade from a 1 gig to an 8 gig.
Yeah,
right.
I understand, but again, if I have to think about students in our financial climate right now, $50,000 to update central office isn't going to be a priority.
We're all connected. We're all operating under the same
Each
infrastructure.
building is a certain dollar amount. I don't see what I say, but every one of them has a different dollar amount. You guys, central office has 49,000, and then in central office again on the next page. $1,000
For CO.
Yeah.
Again, my understanding is that it is a systemic upgrade, so that would encompass all users on our network. I don't know that you could piecemeal the work, according to different schools. I'm just not, and building, just, I'm building wide, I'm not necessarily, prepared to offer a response to that.
I'm gonna need a revamp of this, cause I'm not informed, this is,
Would suggest that we table it so we could find out if we could kind of bifurcate or take out component.
I would also be happy to hear from, the wife, maybe if she has a more in-depth explanation for why each thing is what it is and like why it's, maybe it's just the way they're writing it out. I don't know, but the way it looks is like the high school gets something big and then CO gets something random and then the Cherokee backup is there and it's like, what about the rest of it? So I can,
Like, what about Iowa, like, you know?
right, where I feel like it gets like progressively worse service wise, like, you know what I mean? That's, I think it was just clarification, at least for me, I need to understand a little bit better what this all.
Yeah, I'm okay with you.
I would definitely be for tabling it, because I was just gonna go.
I just have a couple questions. Are they, these are bids, yes, they've been bidded and the highest bidder or lowest bidder, obviously lowest, but is that how this worked?
Yes, all these services through BOCES are based on bids, not RFPs.
I expect the whole board to also, when they're looking to read what, not applicable for this project, there's a lot of pages that are not applicable to this project.
I have a motion and a second to table item number 23, BOCES multi-year service agreement.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda item number 24, third extension of bid number 24 for food service. Any questions on that?
Yeah, what? Would be a little more specific about that? Are we talking, what are we talking about exactly?
So I can answer that, Airmont. Yeah, so this is, we were required to go out to bid, 3 years ago. State Education Department will allow us to extend the contract up to a total of 5 years. So this is the third annual extension here, and we are allowed to extend at the price increase of the May 2026 consumer price index.
So we haven't had anybody, so Anthony, maybe you can answer this. With a food service company, is it usually yearly or is it like, let's say, administrative, like 3 years and they can hold what they're good? I don't understand. What is, because I don't think it's the way it was years ago.
Leadership does a different thing, just depends for happiness with the product or service.
So this is approving.
1 more year.
So, yeah, this is the extension to the third year of their 5 year.
Yeah, so clearly when I have so many kids complaining, I can't with a clear conscience unless they bring something to the table here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Saying how they're gonna either fix it or just, I think we have to start listening to the kids, not the adults who are going in, giving a time frame when the food is there and we have to listen to the kids.
Any other questions on that? All in favor? No. Any no's? Any
Yeah.
abstentions?
I'm good with going out to bid, just because there's only one other company that's going in, we should always do, where we are due diligence. And bid first.
Actually, more than one company. You're talking about Winston versus such more companies.
No, there might be more companies, but who actually answer for our.
So, Ms. Parisi, you were a no, so,
I want bids.
And Ms. DiMarzo?
I'll be a yes, but I do want to see improvements that is, with food. And I do think a part of it is, I'm always for advocating to, the higher ups that made all these rules and regulations that you have kids like, for Michael, he likes a lot of food. There's so many limits and every child is different and they're all stuck to the exact same guidelines. And my 3 kids don't all eat the same. So, I'll be a yes, but I would like to see, improvements with it. I would.
Right, but just correct me if I'm wrong. He likes to eat, but he's not eating that food because it's not good. And
I think it's because he doesn't take lunch. I think he has skipped lunch. I know my daughter didn't take lunch all through high school. She brought lunch from home. My son currently gets 2 meals, one that I pay for every day. Because he's also a growing boy that needs more food, but. Alright, so I'm gonna be a yes for that one. Only because I know the restrictions that the state puts on and there's very little, your hands are very tied. I, for one, love to season my food. I know you guys can't do all those seasonings, but I'm a yes for number 24. Miss, I didn't tell you were,
I think we go for the
I don't have 3 yeses yet. I have 2 yeses. Melissa was out, she just came back. You were a no?
You have 3.
Oh, look, Mr. Hermosa, you are a
Yeah, I was gonna say I do forget. Quite the salty lunch in high school, so I know that. Probably not like that anymore, but it was good.
Alright, motion passes. And that's all for the consent agenda. Superintendent's update, Dr. Senmore.
Thank you. Hope everyone had a nice Memorial Day weekend. And of course, remember what that holiday is all about. Those in our armed forces who have made the ultimate sacrifice so we can enjoy our freedom. So the state budget should get finalized this week, we are hearing. Our Albany representatives are informing us that the finalized state budget will provide the anticipated 2% increase in foundation aid, a huge 5-year delay in the zero emission electric bus mandate, which will push the implementation to 2032. We have full implementation in 2037. Even that is not realistic, but it's at least a starting point, especially for a district like ours with 120 plus buses. And the UPK revised per student aid allotment that we've been waiting on, that will be in the finalized budget. Again, representatives are telling us later this week. So a few good points in there for us to look forward to. There's so many events this time of year. I'm just going to rattle through these really quick. The high school had 2 really great, funny spring comedy productions, a very successful 5K fundraiser that Ms. Neckin and everyone involved in setting that up. Our 2 middle schools had some really great career days. I know some of our alumni and some board members participated in that. And we appreciate the insightful information on their careers from those school students. May is Wellness Month, lots of wellness activities around the district. I know a number of people on the board were involved with the Disabilities Awareness Fair planning. Just an incredible event. Kudos to Ms. O'Hara and the entire committee. Certainly partnership with SEPTA. Just an incredible event. We had students doing sign language for the Pledge of Allegiance, national anthem. High school band was there. A great unified basketball game, really a classic, 1-point classic. Just a tremendous event, which is one of those events that's become a hallmark for our community. It's a very busy time in athletics. We've had a number of different events and ceremonies, recent Hall of Fame inductions, 6 members inducted to the Hall of Fame. The Beats for Liam cardiac screenings. Thank you to Mr. Mallory for helping coordinate that. 100 screenings took place, which is fabulous. We recently also had our college recognition for students going on to play at the collegiate level. Last year we had about 49 or so students, 50 students. This year 44. That trend just continues. Division I, Division II, Division III. Lots of great things happening in our athletic program, including playoffs. Girls Lacrosse just had a big upset win the other day. Today they were in Wood Millville. Unfortunately, their playoff journey ended today, but great run for them. Baseball, they are defending county champs, current league champs. They will be defending that title this Saturday at Middle Country Athletic Complex. It's been changed to a morning game. Our track program is outstanding, both girls and boys. They are home on Thursday, competing in the county championships, wishing them good luck as well. Early when we did the student recognitions, Ms. Poppy and Mr. Singh talked about America 250, and that one particular student, the illustration was selected. Well, beginning the 1st of June, activities across the district as we celebrate America's big birthday. So a big thank you to Mr. Hussein and all the members of the committee. If you go on our district website, you can click on the link and you can go to each school and see all the different types of activities, whether they're doing book readings, a special assembly, musical performance, lots of great stuff. So we're very excited for that. It's been a busy concert season that's finishing up. It's really been just incredible. We have jazz concerts at the secondary level this week, and a really cool alumni and chamber singers community concert event at the parish of Old Cross on Sunday. Congratulations to music teacher and band director Gregory Johnson for receiving the Edward Propeller Citizen of the Year Award from the Bohemia Fire Department. We thank the fire department for recognizing Mr. Johnson and to the students who nominated him. We also recently had a fine arts show, which truly displayed the incredible and creative talent our kids have in the fine arts across the district. Just amazing things. Our science students continue to be involved with the local restoration of the wetland. That'll continue later this week. We have a really cool event taking place on Friday as well at the high school called Birdstock out in the parking lot. Really cool outdoor music event with lots of our students in performing groups. We have a collaboration committee happening on June 2nd, right, Ms. Poppy? The SF funded programs, consultation and collaboration meeting with stakeholders that the group will meet. Speaking of athletics again, we have senior awards coming up on June 3rd. OBMS has their awards on June 5th. PTA Council has their high school has their big event for it's a special bingo event, and that I put out a parent square for them this today, but do another one next week. It's a really cool bingo event on the 5th, and also that night is a film festival at the high school. And we have, I mentioned earlier, the Bosun program graduation ceremony at the high school on June 8th. And then as we get further into June, there's more and more great events, especially for us. And as always, thank you to our PTA, SEPTA, ORVA, athletic boosters, our youth leagues, our Rotary, all of our civics, for all that you do for our students, staff, and kids.
Thank you. I do appreciate your updates. I do wish if you could incorporate a little more curriculum updates in your updates, just math scores, reading scores, any kind of curriculum writing that's going on. That'd be great.
We do have curriculum writing taking place this summer across the board and in a number of different areas, math, literacy, bullying prevention, things like that.
Yeah, thank you. Those are really important. So big community. Board of Education Committee reports. Mental Health Committee, Ms. DiLorenzo.
So one of the things that we talked about, which is actually what we saw tonight, you know, the little student Bergma who won the artwork for this Erase the Stigma art contest. So of course we talked about that kind of came out of that council. Some of the things we talked about with the DAC building level meetings that are still going on to determine statistics on whether or not an incident reaches the level of death or not. The easel theme for May is well-being and self-care. There was a council meeting on the 19th to discuss the implementation easel for the upcoming school year. They're creating their own curriculum to kind of integrate into the classrooms. We also talked about including actionable items that align with the different themes. So it's not just well-being and self-care. What can you do well-being and self-care, including actual maybe a few items that you can actually do to display that, maybe bring that in, the kids, or things about being kind, have the kids engaged in that, how they're being kind to one another. So including actionable items, not just throwing the idea out there. There is a Caring Leaders Recognition Breakfast that's coming up for some of our, at least the LICAP students as considered the ambassadors. We also have a guide going for the anxious generation, and this is actually pretty good too. It talks a lot about social media and of course devices, which are just getting to younger and younger students. And just different ways that families can try to implement. It's very hard to reach families, so different ways of giving them different strategies and getting these ideas out there, maybe through Parent Square or something. Like for instance, one of them is just helping parents really tackle these social media and device situations going on, like knowing your job as a parent is one of them. So if you want to tell your child, your young kid wants to create a TikTok account, you don't want them to, instead of just saying no, you want to tell them, well, my job is to keep you protected, really kind of explaining to them and understanding that as a kid, their job is going to be to say, no, I don't want to do that. They might fight back, just understanding your role as you tackle these situations. So we talked a lot about that. There is also a New York Teens Talk Mental Health social media initiative where teens can make a video for the social media campaign that they have going on to raise awareness on just anything that might be coming up. Mental health is a huge thing right now. So those are things we have. Of course, Community Wellness Day is going to be starting to conduct, which I cannot wait. That's a fantastic event.
Thank you. Policy Committee, Ms. Anatelli, Mr. Rosa.
I don't think we really have much to report. We did not bring any policies forth to be voted on tonight. We went through a few of them. Next meeting, we will revamp and bring them to the board.
Okay. So we have Board of Ed topics, Sequest program, Ms. Anatelli.
So as many of you might remember, we worked the Sequest program many months ago and how we wanted it to be revamped. And many of us gave suggestions, how it once was, how it could improve, and things like that. We were told this week that it was revamped, but I am not a fan of the revamping because I don't feel anything really changed besides the fact that we're going to make it more, so that each student in each school, every school has an exact amount of students. I don't know why I did the big God help me. Yeah, across the district. So one school won't have 10 and the other one has 50. That if your school has a certain population, we will be making sure that we actually have that many students that belong in the program based on that population. So that was the only thing changed. They aren't bringing, we're literally paying for this program to be, so a fourth grader and a fifth grader are split for just one day and more or less get 3.5 hours, not even 3.5 hours, whatever, 2.5 hours, whatever it is, in one day. So I would like Ms. Hoppy to really explain that revamping and why we should be a fan of that. This is a program that's been in our district since I was a kid. Went from Gifted and Talented to Sequest, and I've watched it change throughout the years, and I'm really disappointed in our revamping and why we came up with the whole idea to keep it the way it was going to the individual schools and only having these kids be there half a day each for each grade.
And I read it differently than you did. I read it as every school had the same number of kids, which I didn't find that to be fair, especially when you have a school like John Pearl, which has 100 kids, say, and you have Cherokee, which has 500 kids. I didn't think it was fair to have the same number of kids, unless I misread that.
I'm happy to offer a bit of clarification here. So one of the changes that we'll enact for the 2026 to 2027 school year and moving forward is to establish admissions thresholds, foundational numbers by building, where we are looking at an acceptance rate that is consistent across the district. it's based upon the percentage of students in the incoming fourth grade class, right? So there you have your variation in terms of the size of the building with no cap, right? So when students are considered for admission to Sequest, it's sort of a multi-step process involving different component features. One of them is an IQ screener. I think I've spoken about that publicly. And there are a number of other components to that application process, right? Students are sort of ranked in terms of how they score on those different factors. And then they are considered for entry into the program. Their candidacy is considered. What that threshold will do will again allow a minimum for every building, which did not exist in the past, and which I believe led to some of the variations that we've experienced since we relaunched the program during the 2022-2023 school year. We had some deep conversations about the types of experiences that students have had in Sequest and how we could continue to build upon them and enhance them. A couple of ideas that came to the forefront, which we are looking to enact for next year, is presenting more opportunities for kids to come together with one another within the program across the district. And those kind of meetings would take place periodically throughout the school year. That was one of the chief concerns that I know was offered by the Board of Education, right? That kids are not siloed in their own buildings and amongst their own grade levels. For instance, this week on Thursday, we're hosting a 24-game competition amongst Sequest students, and that will happen in a central location in the high school. So Sequest students from across the district will come and participate in that activity and a friendly competition, academic competition with one another. We look to build in more experiences like that across the school year next year, and there's a lot of room for innovation there. We also talked about offering, I'll call it flash year field trips, different sort of unique experiences that students can have in Sequest that kind of distinguish it from other field trips that students experience, you know, on their typical grade levels. And we've planned for at least one more field trip for 26-27. It's not a limit, it's a starting point. Again, slowly building out the program and in sort of building in these different enhancements. In terms of bringing the kids to one single location, I do want to harken back to the voice of the Sequest committee, and this committee was convened in the spring of 2022 when we were preparing to restart the program following COVID in the 2022-2023 school year. One of the chief concerns that was issued by members of that committee was that the current, at the time, full day pullout model, which had been in effect, unfortunately sometimes resulted in students dropping out of the program because there is a reluctance for students to leave their home school on a weekly basis. So essentially, students would travel to one location. In the past, it was Basti Elementary School. There were transitions. It was a school day within a school day that became obstacles for some students. And students did miss out on their regular classroom instruction for that Sequest period weekly. That committee felt that, you know, having Sequest as a push-in allowed kids the best of both worlds. It allowed them to participate in Sequest, but still have the touch points back into their regular school day with their typical teachers. They didn't have to miss out on specials, cafeteria, lunch periods, and special building events, which are also very challenging to navigate around. And that was another sort of main consideration that was sort of volleyed about by the committee back in 2022, that those home-based feelings were sort of a detractor, I'll say, from the Sequest program when it was hosted at a single elementary school. Since 22-23, we have moved Sequest from 2 teachers to a single teacher. And so we do have a single teacher facilitating the program. Some of the things that I just spoke about in terms of the way Sequest was, we did have the luxury of having 2 teachers facilitating the entire program, working with large groups of students and sort of, facilitating different activities and different units of studies according to their areas of expertise. So those are some of the ways in which we have changed, where we've arrived today and what we're looking at for the immediate future. I want to be careful to say that, we're still open to making adjustments, but those ones that I just described are some of the primary considerations for planning moving into the 26-27 school year.
So I'm not sure who was part of this committee back in 2022, but as a parent who had kids in Sequest, family members didn't get to in town, the family members in it now. I do think it's a disservice. I also think it's a disservice that we're splitting the days. So even if you want to keep it in one school, which again, not a fan of, but if you wanted to do that, why didn't we make it one full day for 4th graders, one full day for 5th graders? The opportunity by the time and again, you say 1 teacher. Yes, we have 2 teachers, but again, most of these students in this program are the kids who are well behaved, are going to listen. Because there's so much criteria to get you in there. So, I can't see that a teacher is having to struggle dealing with these children. So I really am just trying to understand why we're not doing at least 1 full day for 4th grade, 1 full day for 5th grade.
So I hope I didn't mischaracterize it. I think the teacher who is facilitating the program is exceptional. And I don't imagine that she would have difficulty with, with students in terms of managing them during the school day. I don't believe that she does. We haven't received feedback from current parents asking for sort of the different structure. I think I left that out.
I don't think they know that. An option.
Well, they are informed about the structure of the program and how things go. We are open to taking feedback from parents, and it's a directed, solicitation of that feedback. That's something we can certainly move forward with in terms of implementing this year.
I don't mean to keep on cutting you off, Melissa, I feel bad. So are we going to send out a questionnaire to every parent whose child participated so they can fill it out and give feedback?
We sure can do that this year. That's not a problem.
So if we're gonna do something like that, I think it would be in the best interest to give the different examples of the iterations of the program, right? Because I've said it before, I was in gifted and talented, and I think my question is if there's a reluctance if the kids are having the reluctance to leave, why are they so reluctant to leave for 1 day? Because I didn't feel like I missed a beat when I went to Boston for the day. And I feel like, not to say, not that I was so smart, but isn't that the whole point, right? You know what I mean? These students who are, I was bored a lot of the time in the classroom, and I couldn't wait to get to G&T because I couldn't wait to play the stock market game. Marisol knows how I feel about the stock market games. I will forever be the #1 fan. But that's my point. And then I didn't go back to my classroom and feel panicked. You know what I mean? So I think there's a larger scale issue we're talking about there. If even the kids that we are IQ scoring appropriated or whatever it is for this program are nervous about missing 1 day, I would like to understand why that's happening. Because I do agree with April and Ron that it feels like a little bit of a disservice to do all this kind of watering down of how I remember the program. You know what I mean? And I don't mean to say, I feel like you're doing a great job, by the way. I feel like you're just getting all the questions tonight. It's been why not this? But yeah, I would like to give the parents the different examples of the way this program has been and get a better idea of how they feel about it. I think what April, I'm not trying to put words in mouth, was trying to say was that you probably haven't received any outreach from parents because they don't know that there was a different structured program that ever existed. This is the only version of what they're aware of, so they don't know that there used to be a full day, go do all this stuff, go back. So like they don't know to say they'd rather that. So I would be, it sounds like it's been a few years. I would like to see some feedback, but I would like to see them presented with all the information about how it's kind of progressed over time.
I'd like to know exactly, and obviously not right this second, but I'd like to know exactly how this in any way improves the kids' education and or is beneficial to them. One. Number two, Ruby school trips. I want to see all the kids get more Ruby school trips because I think I brought that up before I was even on the board about Forest Valley. About school trips. Okay, we are one of the districts on Long Island that have the least school trips. Sorry, I want to see more.
So I had a similar question to Melissa when you were speaking, Ms. Poppy. My son couldn't wait to get on the bus and go to Boston. So when you say that these kids are hesitant to leave their school, I have to wonder why. What is happening that is keeping them in the school? Like, it's a genuine question. Like, if you could look into that and just really try to figure out what is holding these kids from wanting to experience the outside and go and see something new, like why are they hesitant to go to a new school? I would love to see more trips. My son in 10th grade hasn't had a trip since like he hasn't literally gone on a field trip. Has not gone on a field trip since 5th grade. He is in 10th grade. I would love to see more field trips come, but I did have those questions about the sequence movie.
So if I may offer just one small thing, the pieces that I shared with you are feedback that came directly from community members from 2022 when we were reimagining Sequest. So that's not my feedback, but it's the feedback of the Sequest committee. I would like to offer one wondering, right? So we know students are certainly high performing students who are inquisitive, students are motivated, students are maybe twice exceptional who are enrolling in this program. Could it be that for some of them, the impetus to meet all of the marks in their regular classroom, right, to receive the math instruction on that day, to progress with their reading through, or to, work into that science lab is something that becomes the paramount experience for them in their home-based classrooms as opposed to Sequest, right? So I wonder whether that could be the other side of the point, right? For some students, and some it may very well be that they want to get there as quickly as possible to engage with the material. But I'm thinking that in some instances, it's students who are genuinely, dialed into what's happening in their classroom. There could be, a hesitation to out on day-to-day instruction. If they were to be for the day and
Or that is the
specific
bigger problem.
application.
If you never discuss that, why are they feeling that way? Well, it's usually those kids that don't seem to be, I can speak for my own children, didn't seem to be either. So we can only speak for our every child's different. But as for Sarah, your question, just to let you know, I can just speak for when my daughter was in it. You were reading books at least 2 grades above you. You learned how to do math at least 2 grades above you. You were introduced to topics that were more advanced, science, other things. So I can't speak for how the program, they're learned about bridges and structure for bridges, the architecture and why you have bridges. I know it's one project they did this year. Whereas they're not getting that detailed in their classes. Try to bring it up to grade because they feel these kids can handle it and they try to challenge them.
I just had one more.
Just to say, I can only, again, harken back to when my son, and it was subject.
to, kids were chosen for the Sequest and it was subject to a teacher grades. Kid could have the same grade, okay? And/or this kid could have a higher grade, like average, yet this child was chosen. I don't know if that still goes on, that shouldn't. So again, that's where my question came in, like, if it's being subject to a teacher's choosing versus an actual grade, that's a problem.
We have a multi-step admission process. So I will certainly share the information with the Board of Education in terms of for that problem.
I just had one more, I guess, comment that I forgot to include. When you said you're not getting feedback, are we asking for the feedback? Because 9 times out of 10, a parent won't give you complaints or feedback unless it's a negative.
We have
Right? They don't normally come and say, yay, everything's perfect. They say, I hate this or I don't like this. So are we requesting feedback from the parents?
We will, we haven't, and, you know, if, you know, we'd like this, for this conversation to flesh out further, that's something we can certainly do this school year, for sure.
And yeah, for sure. I saw it firsthand, a teacher pick a child and not pick another one because they were personality.
So that's a problem.
Yes, just same. All right, does anybody else have a Board of Ed topic they want to bring up?
I had a few things, it's probably pretty quick, I had a few things. Okay, all right, first thing, and I know Dr. C mentioned this again, I know we mentioned Beach William a lot, but again, thank you, both my boys, thank you to the family for doing this, and, you know, it's really run incredibly well, once again, they do a great job, so thank you to the family. My next thing was a question about UPK. When are the parents going to be notified for the child's placement? Because I've been getting some questions from parents. They don't know where their child's going.
I can offer a response there. We are waiting for the final say-so from the state government. And as Dr. Sedamore mentioned, we're hoping by the end of the week, we'll have the information and we will make those notifications promptly thereafter.
Okay. All right, thank you. My last quick thing, because I saw this come up, the bus mandate. Those lovely electric buses they want to make us get. Something was pushed back. Or they were trying to push back. Where is the status of this? Because
I think that as part of Governor Hochul's budget is a 5-year extension or delay on the.
Did that pass? Like, are we?
Yeah, we have the.
Not a fan of, but. Thank you.
Can you provide, I know that you have a update to the community for the budget advisory.
So I met with the PTA council president, and I requested that they obtain representatives from each building, as well as SEPTA. And as soon as she has the names, I'll provide them to the district clerk.
I just wanted to like show that we are discussing it. My other thing is, which obviously is not going to be answered tonight, I just wanted to ask it to probably be Bob, Mr. Hauser. With the potential changes to Tier 6, that is apparently going to be quite the financial experience for districts and employers alike. How are we going to be proactive about this before we are back in a scenario where we are just banging our heads on the wall because the cost is a lot? Like, have we looked at how this could impact us based on where we're at now? Like, I'm just curious on what we've done with that, or if we could start at least gathering necessary data and having a potential planning.
And so I know maybe a tad bit more than community, I'll say, with this, with the number I'm hearing is a $600 million price tag. It's going to come with this, push down to the school districts, push down to the municipalities. You know, we participate in the teacher's retirement system and also the employee retirement system. So there's two separate pension systems that are affected by this. Two separate rates Okay, right now, the teacher retirement system is just below 10%, that a district has to contribute for each person's salary. Well, for a teacher, for a non-instructional person, it's about 17%. So the only way I can think right now is that those rates are gonna go up. I don't know how else they're going to actually phase this in, ask districts to pay for it. But it certainly dependent upon the population of people, population of our employees who are tier 6. We'll have to take a look at that, see, I'm gonna have to find out more information as to how each of those systems tends to bill us for our share.
That is my thing is also just, you have to love it, right? It's, something that really should be fixed, but they were like, look what we did, you guys are gonna pay for it, right? So that's why I just wanna be prepared because it's not that I think it's a bad thing, I think it's going to be part of the course of the bad implementation of it, and my fear is like they do when they finally decide something, it's just very knee-jerk, and they're like, you guys have a month, it's now coming, enjoy. Until we have to fight for years to get a 5-year extension on it. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I feel it coming where we're all gonna, I want to be prepared and I want to feel the best prepared we can be, right? So that's why.
So just one thing about the Budget Advisory Committee, it has to also be opened up to the community, like, retired people, senior citizens, that's what it always was in the past. And you also get professionals coming in who know what they're doing, so.
I agree.
Would the board like for something put on the website?
I mean, the website, social media,
Yeah, social media.
parent square, however, get in touch with the community. Does anybody else have any, items on the consent?
No, I just would like to really quick say that I think every committee should be advertised in the fact. Most of our community members do not know about our committees, and that's why they don't come. I feel every committee should be opened up to the community and allow them to come and hear what's going on in our district with taxpayers paying for.
Does anybody in the audience wish to speak? You know the rules. They're the same that I read before. No, we are not packing up. I was just folding my table cord.
So I'm always going to be yay BOCES. I'm always going to be yay bringing CTE programs into the school. But I do want to say one thing about, we have phenomenal electives in this district. And 2 of the electives are the auto mechanic classes and the electricity classes. And because I'm the type of parent who used to go to back to school night, I know a few parents, I've been in both of those classrooms. They are wonderful. They are huge spaces, but please, 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 if you're looking at spaces, like consider that different kids have different needs and like those rooms are for specific students. That's it.
Thank you. Anybody else?
$17 million for BOCES, how much do we get back in aid? So I think that's important information.
Yeah, when I looked for the prior year, it's about $3.5 billion. I can get you the exact number.
Okay, because that's something to keep in mind. Full disclosure, I'm a BOCES employee and the CTE is my thing, so full disclosure, but I do want to address some of the very good questions because if we can save money. Let's take a marketing class. That would take 2 classrooms to justify the hiring of a teacher full time. I don't know what the building utilization is at the high school, but that's an important component. So the thing of space. Now, NPC is right down the block. What I suggest, if you want to see BOCES in action, we could talk to the principal and go see for yourselves. Because what it does is it gets like-minded kids from all different districts to come in for a couple of hours. They're an HVAC person, they're an electrician, right? I'm assuming for the districts that have brought it back to their own school, let's say a cosmetology, I don't know if they do block scheduling to allow for that, or the students just don't leave the classroom, but you can't do CTE in a 40 or 50-minute class period with setup, cleanup, changing. So there's so many things to consider. But everything is on the table, right? Looking at the 800 line items, I would really love to see how many students are going for each of the programs, because it's a very valid question of what can we bring in-house, if we can bring it in-house, right? A welding class, you're probably not gonna do in-house. I'm just thinking of the investment. When I walk into a welding classroom at OC's, I have no idea how much it costs, but I know it's more than just desks, right? So, and by the way, we're sitting out here in the audience, and all we hear or see is item number 23, whatever it is OC's multi-year service contract. We have no information sitting here, and you're discussing it, and we don't have any information to look at to say, I don't even see the number $17 million. Okay? I know that in other districts, there's a lot more detail on the agenda, so the people who are taking the time to come here and to watch can actually see real information instead of just hearing about a 15 or 20-minute conversation about this or that and being clueless as to what the facts are. So, having said that, I hate being the last person to speak at a meeting, because in faculty meetings, you don't want to be that person. So I will say thank you for the time.
Well, I thank you for speaking, and being the last speaker is never a bad thing. Actually, Ms. Terragosa has been bringing that up since the day before she got on the board, actually, because when she was sitting in your seat, she also had a similar complaint that they couldn't see as much. It is on board docs, but we don't come with our laptops, right? So we don't sit here and be able to access board docs. It is a concern that a lot of people share, so something we can look at. Thank you. Anybody else? Can I have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. Have a good night, everyone.